Hey guys, it's Holy Coffee, and today we will be talking about how to go around gearing your Warpath build. Before we get started, there's something I want to elaborate before I'm beginning to talk about items. It's actually Abyssal Echo I will be talking a little bit about in the beginning because I think I didn't do it justice in the last video. I just want to go over Abyssal Echo, why it's such a good skill. So if you remember from last video, I talked a little bit about this global melee damage that can stack. This happens each time it hitting a monster. So because of this can stack, it also counts for each recast. And you can see we're getting one recast here, and we're getting four recast here. So it recast 5 times. So in total, you're recasting 6 times. If you're taking 2 nodes here in cooldown recovery, it will have a cooldown on 1.6 seconds. Of course, this cooldown is depending on how much mana regeneration you have on your build and how much armor you have. But I just want to show you quickly how much. If you're looking at my melee damage here, you can see how much my melee damage is going up just by spamming Abyssal Echo. And this is tied really closely to how you're going around spamming your passives because you're getting so much increased melee damage from Abyssal Echo, you really don't need any increased damage from any other sources. Abyssal Echo will be your source of increased damage, and this is actually kind of true on most classes. That will be like one thing or another where you will get most of your increased damage, and on a Sentinel, it's Abyssal Echo. Um, okay, I just wanted to go over that. This is why Abyssal Echo is so good. Um, Also, I don't want to go more detailed about it in this video. That will be for the next one, where I will be talking, where the video will be a little bit more about theory crafting and how to make Warpath even better for Arena, even better than I have done. Because the way I have done my build is not really a min-max character, but more like the way I wanted to experience Warpath, if that makes sense. But this node here increased enemy damage over time taken, and you can make it stack. And this is 3 points, so it's 30% more damage over time. And then you can make it stack, and it's just reduced damage over time effect, so it's 15%. And it almost act like poison, and you can make Abyssal Echo deal so much damage just on its own, because you can make it stack so much. But I will be talking a little bit more about that in the next video. Um, okay, so I just wanted to talk about a little bit about this Abyssal Echo because I didn't think I did it justice in the last video. Okay, so let's talk about gear. The first thing you need to know about before you take a look at my gear is that my armor and besides the weapon is not min-maxed by any means. Because I have used a lot of different items because I wanted to fairy craft and test a lot of different things, so I don't have any kind of min-max gear in my build. Okay, so let's first talk about the weapons. There's a lot of different weapons you can go around with Warpath. The weapon I'm using is actually this weapon here, that's giving melee critical strike chains and attack speed. On weapons you can get melee critical strike chains. This is base critical strike chains, so it's really important. And also you can get attack speed. D2's node is really good on the weapon because you can't really find it elsewhere. So you can't have to take these two on a weapon. However, if you're choosing, as I talked about a little bit about in the last video, you can get 16% base crit chance on your on Warpath. If you choose to go this way, you will get so much base crit chance that you can actually swap your weapon to have increased melee attack speed and critical strike multiplier. So that's like three good stats you can get on a weapon: increased melee attack speed, critical strike multiplier, and base critical strike chains. And these, if you choose melee critical strike chains or melee critical strike multiplier, depends on how you want to build Warpath in the passive tree. As you can see, I'm using Sonya as the base weapon. It's required for level 74, so if you're not there yet, you just need to take the weapon that giving the highest base amount of physical damage. And just so you know, but this is probably one of the best weapons you can take if you want to build Warpath to deal the highest amount of damage, which I wanted on my build. There is, however, another weapon that's also really good. That is the Naginata polearm. The reason why this is also a good one is because you can see the base attack rate is 1.05, and on Sonya it's 0.97. What this ultimate means is you actually, by swapping to Naginata, you're from Sonya, you're getting an increased attack speed by 9%. And this is like a multiplicator. You're attacking 9% faster with Naginata. That is actually quite good. You are, however, losing one base critical strike chance, and you're also losing around 24 flat melee physical damage. But the base attack rate is also quite good, because if you're stacking health on melee hit, you will get more hits per second, and also get more health. So you could choose to go with Naginata, and I actually think, because if you don't have as much gold as I have, and you still want to min-max your character, I actually think you should go with Naginata, because it's also a lot cheaper base to buy, so you can buy a lot more for the same amount of gold, and it will be a lot easier to get a good weapon, and perhaps actually Naginata is a little bit better than Sonya, if you choose to scale as much damage as possible, because you will scale so much flat damage throughout the passive tree that I think that attack rate actually will be better on a min-max character. But I did go with Sonya. There's some personal feelings with Sonya of Sonya, because I think it's a quite cool weapon. Okay, you can also choose to go one hand and shield. I actually, when I first made my Warpath build, I actually made it because I wanted to make a build around Eye of the Reen. Eye of the Reen is quite interesting because it have this note that it grants 5% additional critical strike multiplier and 5% increased fire damage over time. That's a stack you're getting for each crit you're doing on a monster. And as you remember, Warpath is dealing the double amount of attacks as any other melee ability. You're actually doing a lot of attacks, and because of this, Eye of the Reen could have been a good weapon, because you would get so much critical multiplier off of it. But the thing is, Eye of the Reen is actually bugged at the moment. So this each stack of Reen Ira grant 5% additional critical strike multiplier is actually not working. So you can't use this right now, but I think when it's fixed, I think Eye of the Reen will be a really good weapon to choose from. And if you choose to go with one hand, a normal rare, it will be the normal stats you will choose for the prefixes: increased melee attack speed and increased melee critical strike chance. Keep in mind, when you're going from a two hand to a one hand, the reason why you're losing so much damage from a two hand to a one hand is because the ranges on the stats you can get on a ribbon is a lot lower. As you can see, the increased melee attack speed on the katana one hand is going up to 30%, and on a two hand it's going up to 54. And these stats on a ribbon is quite important, because these are some rare stats, so we can't really get them elsewhere. So just keep that in mind. But of course you can then go with a shield, and shield will also help a lot with the survival. And if you should go around using a shield, it should probably be something like this, where you're getting increased block chance, increased armor and protection, and also the stats that's reducing damage taken when you're blocking. So you could definitely go with a one hand and a shield. I didn't do that, because I wanted as much damage as possible. Okay, so this were the some of the remedies. The best remedies if you want to min-max your character and you want to build it towards arena and you want to make it as far as possible. The best ribbon you can go around as a Warpath is a staff. The reason why a staff is the best ribbon you can take is because of the armor and protection while channeling. As you can see, I have the stat on the staff where I have 642 armor and protection while channeling. This stat is probably if you're doing a channeling skill, is probably the best stat you can get on anything. It's so good, this stat. The reason why it's so good, armor and protection while channeling, is because normally on a sentinel build you have a difficult time stacking poison, void protection, and necrotic protection. Armor and protection while channeling is also giving protection to these kind of stats. So it's so good. The bad thing about staffs is you can't get attack speed on them. So that's the bad thing. But then you just use any kind of flat melee damage you can get on it. As you can see, I have a melee lightning damage. That's just because when I gambled it was rolled already with melee lightning damage. If I should choose my own flat melee damage on a staff, I would choose void damage. Because if I remember correctly, it can roll a little bit higher, the flat amount you can get, and also because of the leech, void leech you're getting from here, but it doesn't really do a whole lot. Also, the reason why a staff is so good with this armor and protection while channeling is because it also gets flat armor. And flat armor, the amount it's giving a flat armor is so huge for usual sprites, so you can get a lot of mana regeneration with it. As you can see with the staff, I have 43 mana regeneration, and if I swap to Somnia, I have 36. So it's doing quite a lot. It's actually really good. You're of course losing this space crit chance as you have on Somnia. So that was why I talked about with Warpath with the base crit chance. I would probably, if I went with a staff, I would probably go this way around. To you would not need the mana regeneration and all these 7 nodes here, and I would definitely go this way. Because 16% base crit chance is so huge, and the mana drain is not doing a whole lot. You could still justify going this way just because Abyssal Echo is so good. So the increased mana regeneration from Warpath make you spam Abyssal Echo even more. As you can see, the base attack DPS, it's not so accurate because it doesn't compare with skills and what crit change you have in skills, but you can still use it as an indicator. And I saw my base attack DPS going to 10,000 where I was testing with the staff and Abyssal Echo spam. So you can make Abyssal Echo like scale instantly. Also, when I had all my sigils up and the staff and speed from multiple first, but base attack DPS on 10,000, I haven't seen it go as high as that on any of my characters. Okay. And also the suffixes, like you have the prefixes that also always is like these attack the prefix that benefit attacks, and then you have 2 suffix on the options. On a staff you will always want to craft the armor and protection while channeling first, and then you can choose like elemental protection, void protection, poison protection, but like whatever you need, it doesn't matter a whole lot. You could also, if you're choosing to go with Samia, you can get health on melee hit. You can't get that on staff. And health on melee hit is actually quite nice in Warpath because it's hitting so fast, and also because health on melee hit is actually giving is like coming instantly. So that's is making it so good in combat. While leech is like when you're leeching, it's over 3 seconds, and health on melee is instant. Okay. So that was the ribbon. You could also go with the Slayer Ancient Blade because it's giving quite a high amount of melee critical strike multiplier. And also the base attack rate is a little bit higher, but I don't know. I think it's a close call between Naginata and that the ancient blade. I would probably go with a Naginata just because of the base melee critical strike chains. It's really good. Okay, so for the rest of the gear, there's some different options, and it kind of depends on uh, on what route you're going to take with the Warpath. If you're like doing a damage Warpath, it doesn't matter a whole lot whether you're going armor and protection or you're going health, because you're not really scaling too much into the protection, because you're dealing so much damage. You're kind of depending on killing the monsters before they kill you. So okay, but if you're going to do a damage Warpath build, you won't definitely want to get a lot of armor on your build, like flat armor and increased armor, just because you want all that mana regeneration that then makes you spam Abyssal Echo even more for more damage. As you can see, my character is really not well put together. My stats is a little bit all around. Okay, let's talk about this unique ring. I will return to the armor a little bit later, but let's talk about the unique ring. Okay, this unique ring was added in this patch, and it's actually really good. So what this does is it's giving you 100% chance to receive cleansing blow when hit while channeling, and it also gives a chance to gain 30 ward when hit while channeling, and also gives some lightning damage. The increased lightning damage is nothing doing too much for Warpath, but so the 100% chance to receive cleansing blow, it's actually super good, especially when you're starting out on your Warpath build, because imagine you're having this ring, you pop it, then you don't need to care anything about the cleansing blow. I have been using this because, as I said, I didn't min-max my character. However, I don't think if you're going to min-max your character with the best gear possible, I don't think this is the best choice you can get. Even though the unique ring has the correct base that gives increased melee protection, increased elemental protection, I don't think it's better. And the reason why is because you can get armor and protection while channeling. You can get it on 4 items. You can get it on rings, you can get it on staff, and you can get it on relic. And this armor and protection while channeling is so good. It actually, because of these protection armor and protection while channeling, you can actually achieve the highest amount of any protection pull on a Warpath because of these passive nodes. So you can actually make a quite tanky Warpath build. The reason why it will not be the best is because Warpath is not the best skill to use at the moment, but it will get some future buffs. So this is why I would go with rare rings. If you were going to min-max, then you would definitely go with armor protection while channeling on both rings, relic, and on staff. If you're going to going a little bit more defensive route, a golden rule you should remember on every character you're playing is that if you're not using this one here and you're going to skill the cleansing blow, the 4 items you always want to skill it on is gloves, boots, belt, and helm. The reason why you always want to skill cleansing blow on these 4 items is because the prefixes on rings, relic, and amulet is better than these 4 items. And this is because on rings you can get set affixes, like set elemental protection, and set health, for instance. And there's also here you can get a lot of the damage prefixes that is quite good, like critical strike chains, like throwing attack speed on. Of course, we are not using that on the Warpath, but so that's just a general rule. You always want to build the set cleansing blow on these 4 items here, unless of course there's like one unique that's really good for your build. On the amulet, the reason why amulet is so good is because you can get you also can get these set affixes, but also because you can get increased poison protection, increased void protection, increased necrotic protection. That is really good on the Sentinel Ward because it's so difficult to get these protections up. So just remember that, and that is a golden rule for every character you're building. That these 4 items is always reserved for Glancing Blow, and depending on how good they're rolling, you can go with you can go with 3 tier 5 set Glancing Blow and then 1 tier 4, and that will cap you out if they roll pretty good, like the range on the Glancing Blow. Okay, let's talk about amulet for the build. So with the amulet, there's some different ways you can go with it, and also some different bases. There's pretty much 3 bases you can go with on the build. I primarily used this increased critical strike chance base, and then I just slammed increased critical strike chance and critical strike multiplier on it. That was just because I wanted to achieve the highest amount of damage. If I should go around min-maxing my character and make it more tanky so it could survive arena a little bit better, I would either use Orange Eye, the unique here. If I decide to build my character around protection, I would use this one here. And the reason why it's so good is because it converts all the void damage you're taking to fire. And as you remember, a Forge Guard have 30% increased fire protections as multiplicative, which also will affect void protection. This amulet is so good. Also because it have the right base that makes you take less damage over time, which makes it so good. It also gives some mana and so on. That's of course always nice, but nothing too special for the build. And it also increased your fire protection. So this nick is really good. But just keep in mind, this amulet is probably one of the rarest items in the game at the moment. It also, if you don't have this one here, which, well, depending on how lucky you are, you probably don't have it, I would go around using a Raggle amulet. It's just like the same base, and it also have the less damage over time taken. The good thing about using a rare amulet is because you can use the set elemental protection on the amulet, and if you also have set on the rings and the relic, you will get even more bonus from the set elemental protection if you also use it on an amulet. So if you probably have the most perfect gear, it would probably be better using a rare amulet than the unique. You could also use the Jade amulet for even more damage if you're capped out on your critical strike change. So if you're going this route here and taking the base crit change, this would probably be the best way to go if you want the highest amount of damage, because the increased melee attack speed is so good. You can't really get enough of that, to be honest, especially because it's so rare to combine, especially for melee, because you can only get it on gloves and on weapon, and then on some passive nodes. Some melee attack speed is so good. So this is like the 4 amulet you can choose. Of course, if you're looking at the bases on the armor, you want to use the highest armor base on all of these. On the rings, you always want to use the golden rings, always, because all the other rings are really garbage, to be honest. Unless you want to use a silver ring that gives movement speed. But if you want to min-max your character, I don't think that's the right way to go. But you could use the silver amulet, silver rings, if you just want to build your Warpath around the speed farming for monolith. That's kind of what I did. I have been using my Warpath to just farm monoliths in a steady and chill pace, and then I collect all these crafting materials and gold, and then I swapped over to another character and use my currency there. Okay, so that was the armor. Yeah, I don't think there's anything more to add to the armor. So let's talk about the idols. Okay, as you remember, you can go around using this chain to cast smite when you hit with throwing attacks to get the buff here for. This highly depends on how you want to play around with your character, because I will be honest, the smite is not proccing very often. It kind of depends on if you're arena and some monolith layouts, because the throwing X is kind of it's a little bit weird animation. You can use 2 of these if you want. You can use up to 4 if you want to, if you really want to smite. It highly depends on how much you think it's proccing for you. I only use one, but you can definitely argue about using more of these. And you can also, if you don't think it's proccing enough for you, the smite, you can also swap entirely out of smite, and then swapping smite to something like devouring orb to get all the juicy increased elemental protection and to get the increased movement speed. I would probably do that if you don't like smite. Okay, and then I'm using 2 stout idol that gives 40% increased critical strength chance together, and both have elemental protection. I just used those to get a little bit more critical strike chance. Okay, and then I'm using Manifested Weapon on melee here. Manifest Weapon is actually the skill you see in the passive tree. I can't find it. Manifest Weapon. Why can't I find it? Oh, yeah. Okay, so Manifest Ribbon is actually it's here. It's actually a skill, but it doesn't have a passive tree at the moment. But it's actually fitting Warpath so well. And this is why it's like one of the things again. One of the reasons why Warpath is not best built at the moment, because a lot of the things Warpath can utilize is either bugged and not in the game. And Manifest and Ribbon is one of them. If you're taking a look here, you can see, let's swap my skill here to Molten Blade. You can see something red, sometimes black. You can see that the red here. So the animation is a little bit weird because it only is attacking in front of you. So you can see if I'm blocking Manifesting Ribbon as I'm standing here, it doesn't attack the training dummy. But I still think it's quite good on Warpath, because you're like, when you're Warpathing, you're kind of Warpathing towards the enemies, and then Manifesting Weapon is just like slamming. It's actually doing a lot for the damage. You can definitely use one of those, but of course they will be a lot better when they're having a passive tree. But they're really good for Warpath, because Warpath is hitting so fast, so you're getting so many procs off on Manifest Weapon. So you can definitely go with them. On the suffix, you can go with the increased armor to get even more mana regeneration. I think that's probably the best one, but you can also use Time Rod on hit, and that's because you're using Abyssal Temples, where your Warpath is giving more damage against time running enemies. But it will in most cases be up, because Time Rod have a duration for 4 seconds, and because Warpath is hitting so fast, you will probably have it up most of the time. But there's a lot of idols you actually can use on Warpath, and it's mainly come down to there's not like one idol that is especially good for Warpath. Like Shield Throw has Smite, Warpath doesn't have really anything. Let's see here. You can also use. Let me see if I have it here. You can also use the Smite as prefix instead of this fire damage taken as physical, and then use the block protection. Because if you could do something a little bit weird where you're going block chains on Warpath here, and then you're capping your block protection through idols. This I would probably go this route here, where I'm taking block chains on Warpath if I went Paladin, because Abyssal Holy Hour have a node where when you're blocking, you're getting ward. So you could make a quite defensive Warpath build if you're using Holy Hour and the block, and then using the block in Warpath. Then you will be really defensive. It could be quite fun. I haven't tried it out myself, but I think it could be a quite good way to go around building your character. But I don't want to go any more in depth with that, because I will definitely talk a little bit more about that in the next video. I just wanted to show out my gear. but it's nothing too good. Um, but you can definitely, I think if you just wanted to make a casual Warpath build, I don't think I would go around building it for protection, but actually building it for health, because it's a little bit easier to build around, and also because you're leeching so much on a Warpath build, the increased health is actually is okay-ish. Um, yeah. You can also use these sentinel idols that give damage leech of hills on here. They're actually also quite nice. So it depends on kind of what idols you have and what way you went with the build. So in the next video I'll be talking a little bit more about exactly how I will go around min-maxing Warpath. I will be swapping over on my Paladin too to like talk a little bit about that, and also talk a little bit more about Abyssal Lego and another build I have not made, but I have a little bit a good theory about. Um, so I hope the itemization was explained properly. It's pretty difficult to explain where it's like very detailed because there's so many things you can do and it depends on what way you are going. But feel free to comment on the video below. Hit me up on a private message on the Discord, and I will definitely help you out if you have any problem. Because I really know that Warpath is definitely not one of the best skills yet. But like if you're making the like making it in this patch, I don't think you will be disappointed in the future patches because it can only go one way, and that is getting better. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video as always. Um, I will try to upload the next video very soon. I'm sorry I'm a little bit slow about the uploading videos. I'm also at the moment I'm working on a Acolyte Harvest health build actually because I wanted to um, test out like a build that was building around mainly health, and I wanted to see how well it performed, and it actually doing quite well. And I also because of was choosing ledge was because of how much lead you can get, and Warpath was definitely one of the reason I got inspired to do it because I really got my eyes open for how good leech really can be. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. See you guys until next time.